Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. It is, isn't it? I think I do this every day. Is it the day I say this? Yes, it is Tuesday. Sometimes my days feel like Mondays, even when it's not on a Monday. But it's been a good week so far. Hopefully you all are having a good week as well so far. I have my boys with me, so it's always wonderful to have them. And um, I'm at my son Jordan's Taekwondo class. I'm missing the class. It started at 5:10, and I was like, I know I have my live at 5. And I was like, well, I'll do 5:30. And of course, I'll, get to see him on Thursday. And we'll probably start at the same time on Thursday as well. That way I can see him. But welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. Just in case you don't know me, my name is Tiffany Newton. I'm a master certified health and life coach, and I help co-parents at this time. I've been in the mental health space, but I'm going into the co-parenting realm. That thus this challenge that we're in, and I help them to establish and maintain healthy relationships with one another. Hey, thank you for joining. Thank you so much. And and it's really for them to be able to raise healthy children, and for it to be without long-term communication issues. And we have learned that communication is a huge part of relationships, and the success and the failure of relationships. So anyone who has divorced or parted ways with someone, I'm pretty sure communication had a lot to do with it. And just because we part ways, it doesn't mean that we don't need to improve in that area. So we've been focusing on communication because that is the cornerstone of the Child First Method, which we have discovered is our vault that holds um, our emotionally healthy child, as well as, um, I don't know why my brain just went blank. I think I got too much going around me. You got people and all this, that, and I'm not used to that. But it holds our emotionally healthy relationship as well as our child as well, because that is the end result that we want for our co-parenting relationship. So my focus is always going to be the child and what's best for the child. So everything that I talk about, just think about it. Okay, she's talking about the child, and her focus is on the child. It's not necessarily on me, personally. So it's going to always encompass that. So can we at least agree that it's going to that should be our focus? Is the child? Great, great. So just in case you don't, hey Dorcas, how you doing? Thank you for joining. Um, and I think that's Shannon. I'm not certain of sometimes of the names on Instagram, but I am on Instagram. If it is, just say hello. I am on Instagram, and I also am on Facebook and YouTube. So just in case you see me, thank you for the butterflies, Darkish. I love butterflies. Yay. So just in case you see me looking, that's why I'm looking. It's a little different today, but I love what I do. I love speaking into you, and I hope you're enjoying this 30 day, because this is day 17. And I always have a plan in regards to what I'm going to talk about. And today, as I was preparing, well, really not today as I was preparing, but yesterday, as I was looking over everything I was going to do today, God told me, hey, you need to shift a little bit. So this is kind of off of the plan for today. I really want to deal with finding peace after the storm, dealing with difficult co-parents. Because I know not every situation is the same, not everyone's experience is the same. And I think that's the great thing about the Child First method, is because it really meets you where you are. But today, I kind of wanted to go into just honing in on finding peace, even right now during the storm, because you might be going through a storm, you might be going through a breakup, a transition, a divorce where you're separated. So I kind of want to speak into to you, and just so you know, we'll be talking more about letting go next week, and how the next steps look for you in regards to your journey in co-parenting. So I kind of want to go into different things. It's kind of funny because when I think about different topics, I always think about, okay, what is it that makes this happen? That's just how my mind works. So when I was thinking about difficult parents, I thought about, okay, why are parents difficult? Of course, naturally, I know, you know, different circumstances will happen and things of that nature. But I kind of really want to dig into why are co-parents difficult, and I came up with a few things, and I'm not going to go in depth with all of them, but I kind of wanted to. Sometimes it's just good just to have that awareness. Awareness, it it makes all the difference in the world, because it helps you to place where you are if you are dealing with someone that's difficult, and you'll find out for yourself, am I the difficult one? Because that's a possibility too. Am I difficult, or am I dealing with a difficult co-parent? So this is all about awareness, and when we are aware, we can actually take steps to be better. So this is what this is all about. So one some things that I found out was, of course, communication issues. That was going to be on the top of my list, because if we don't learn to effectively communicate in our relationships, we're always going to have a history of poor communication. And I think that's something that we have to constantly work on in all of our relationships, because people can misunderstand, misinterpret, and then, conflicts can happen and they can escalate just because we're not effectively communicating with one another. And especially with, texting. Me and my ex, we text a lot because of our schedules are so busy. Because sometimes I need to tell him something real quick, or he needs to tell me something real quick, and we might not be able to talk at that very moment. So, but you have to be very careful with text messages, because with text messages, you can definitely misinterpret, things. And especially important things about your child, that's when you really have to just pick up the phone in that instance. Another thing that I thought about was emotional baggage. We all have emotional baggage. If you've lived any amount of time in life and have had relationships, you have experienced emotional baggage. And depending on where you are in your journey in life, it can depend on how much baggage you have. Whether you have been wounded, or you have unresolved feelings in regards to even your ex. Do you have lingering anger and hurt and bitterness and resentment? I mean, where are you as it relates to your baggage? And these things are just to kind of help you to kind of pinpoint, okay, am I dealing with that? Another thing that can definitely cause someone to be difficult is, different parenting styles. I mean, we're all different. Me and my ex, we parent completely different, but it doesn't make it good or bad. Let me say that again. Different parenting styles, just because your ex is different and they parent differently, it doesn't make it good or bad. It just is. and it's just different. So as long as both of you all are, have the best interest of your child, I think some things we see it being difficult because it is different, and it's not necessarily difficult. It's another thing is power struggles. Dealt with my control issues early on because I had control issues in my marriage. If I had not dealt with that early on, I know there would have been some power struggles. And you see this a lot during, when you're negotiating in divorce. And, I think if we are not so caught up in wanting to dominate and and a lot of times these power struggles, it is a result of resentment, things that we have against our ex. So think about that. Where are you in that, in the power struggles? And one more thing I want to mention is new relationships. Now this one is a big one because this is someone that we were once with, so conflict can definitely, come when someone else comes into the picture. So where are you? Where is that? Do you have feelings of jealousy? Insecurity? Yeah, you might not like them. You know, I remember telling my ex, okay, now you're not gonna have no problems with me. But if somebody come in the picture and they mistreat my children, then you're gonna have some problems with me. That's what so and I think that's reasonable, right? You want your child to be treated well. So that'll be the only time I would have issues in a new relationship. But if that person is there and they're not mistreating your kids, because I mean it's inevitable. Somebody else is gonna be there. I mean, you all aren't together again. And yes, I'm sure you don't like it. You don't want anybody else to be around your kids. But guess what? This is where we are. And we have to find peace after this storm. So, how do we do that? How do we find peace after this storm? We have to constantly communicate. I'm not going to stop saying that. We have to constantly work on our communication, our effective communication, because our child is our goal. Remember, I told you yesterday, our child is our due north. We're always going to operate at the best interest of our child. Thank you so much for joining. And sometimes when you're dealing with a difficult spouse, and I like to say an unhealthy spouse, because not everyone is going to be healthy. So someone who is unhealthy, in order for you to have some peace and some serenity, sometimes you just have to communicate, written. Sometimes face-to-face conversations and phone conversations, they tend to escalate, and cause conflict, and sometimes that happens. So, um, but one thing I will do, I would avoid, by all means, avoid involving your child in the conflict. Yes, you might not be able to communicate directly with your ex as it relates to face because there might be some conflict. It might be some things that might pop off. You might get triggered until you get to a certain point, or until they get to a certain point. Sometimes it just takes them growing. Um, just avoid putting your child in the middle, and avoid bringing your child into your conflict. Try your best to separate the man or the woman from the parent. As long as they are healthy in dealing with your child, as long as you don't have any issues in that space, you know, really try to separate the two. Um, One other thing I have, and I'm wrapping this up, is flexibility. Focus on flexibility. And it's hard when you're dealing with a difficult parent. But believe me, your peace is so much more, it's it there, you cannot put a cost on peace. And sometimes you just have to be flexible, especially as your kids are growing and they're evolving. You have to be open to making changes in the schedule. Okay, hey, the papers say that you have to get him at 6, but he's running late picking the kids up from work. He's stuck in traffic or whatever. You don't have to be the difficult parent and say, well, since if you can't be here at 6 to get them, then you can't come and get them. That ain't right. Is that really going to improve your relationship, your co-parenting relationship? Is it going to make it healthy? Is it going to move it towards a healthy place? Is it going to help your child? Remember, our focus is always going to be the child, because I'm sure your child wants to see their father or their mother. So we have to have some type of flexibilities, and we have to be willing to accommodate reasonable requests. Reasonable requests. I did talk about boundaries yesterday a little, and I will talk more about that in the coming lives as well. But setting those boundaries is still crucial in this as well. Dealing with difficult co-parents, because you do have to, be aggressive sometimes in holding true to those boundaries. You will not raise your voice at me. I'm sorry, you're not going to do that. And you will respect me. I mean, those are non-negotiables. We can talk to each other civilly. Those are boundaries. The last thing that I want to talk about is really taking care of yourself. And I'm going to put in personal growth into that as well, because I believe self-care and personal growth, that goes hand in hand. And I'm a big advocate for personal growth. I've called myself an addict as it relates to personal growth, because I'm always learning. I'm always wanting to grow, in no matter what area of life, especially when it comes to anything that's going to impact my children. And your personal growth, it impacts your kids. You taking care of yourself, it impacts your kids. And one thing I've learned too is sometimes as the healthy parent, you have to lead the way. Yes, that person might not be where you want them to be. That's probably why you know, you broke up. But you can be. You can control what it is that you can control. And that's all you can control. It's what you can control. You can't control someone else's, how they respond to you, but you can control how you respond to them. And that's where peace comes in at. Taking that time to just take care of yourself, manage your stress, receive help and support from your family and friends. That's always crucial. Hey, Crystal, thank you for joining. And therapy. I mean, I will forever advocate for therapy, because I know that is something that's been integral part in my healthy growth journey and my personal growth journey. So improving yourself, developing coping mechanisms, and emotional resistance. Remember, I was talking about yesterday how you have to develop those muscles that you have not exercised as it relates to your ex, or even certain situations overall. Because more than likely, whatever thing that might be triggering you with your ex, it might be something, I mean, that could be the same thing that someone else can do. that can trigger you. So it's so important to just deal with your own emotional um, growth as it relates to, and then and one thing I would say too is people always bring out the good and the bad in us, and it's data for us to to know, okay, where am I? Why do I respond? Actually ask yourself. I tell my clients all the time, you know, look at yourself as, don't, we're not, I'm not being down, I'm not going to be down on myself. I'm not going to criticize myself for the way I feel, but I'm going to ask myself, why did I do that? Why do I feel that way? Look at it in a sense of curiosity. You know, why do I, when he says that, why do I say that? Why do I respond that way? And that will really help you to find out, okay, where am I? And you can take personal responsibility for how you feel and the things that you do. So hopefully, this has helped you. If it has, please, give me some butterflies. I know, I love butterflies. And also, whatever has been said, let me know. Give me some comments. Give me some feedback, so I'll know that you've gotten something out of this. And because I definitely, I read the comments, and I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow. We're gonna go more into our vault, into our child first method, and find out some more combinations to that, and how we can actually work those in our journey to healthy co-parenting. And as a reminder, I have a guest that's coming on Thursday. I can't wait. I'm sure I'll be announcing that coming up, and I tell you, it's going to be a treat. So you definitely don't want to miss it. So until then, I guess I will see you all tomorrow. See you then. Thank you for joining.